Good evening, I am Tomas Guevara Calderon, and this is the channel, Rewriting the Reality. Subscribe to this channel now, so you can receive valuable information to live longer and healthy. In today's episode number 127, I will give you information about the Bible that until now was not available to you. After hearing this information, you will be able to decide by yourself if the Bible is a fraud or not. If somebody would write a book right away saying that Michael Jordan was the best soccer player of his time, or that Diego Maradona was the best basketball player of his time, all of you will scream that this is false. For people that was born in 2003, this information will be irrelevant because they never saw Jordan playing, or for those who were born in 1997, the information about Maradona will be irrelevant because Maradona retired in 1997. Also, we are living in the age of the internet and the artificial intelligence, therefore it will be very difficult to believe that information about these great players. Pay special attention to this video. You can let me any message or contact me at the email address available here of this same video. I promise that I will answer all questions or doubts. However, during the time of Jesus, scholars believe that around 10% to 15% of the population in ancient Judea could read and write, compare with a global 86.3% today. In other words, even at that time was practically impossible to prove that the gospel was true, because most of the people didn't know how to read or write. Even some of the supposed apostles used scribes to write his memories, like Paul, who dictated his letters. There is not proof or evidence that Moses wrote the Genesis, but despite this, traditional Jewish circles and some Christian evangelical scholars continue to affirm Moses' authorship as an article of faith. Now let's analyze this book of Genesis. According to the Bible, the first human was Adam, created by God. Let's explore the family history of Adam as described in the book of Genesis. Adam, when God created human beings, he made them in his own likeness. Adam became the father of another son named Seth when he was 130 years old. After Seth was born, Adam lived for 800 years and had other sons and daughters. In total, Adam lived for 930 years before passing away. Seth had a son named Enosh when he was 105 years old. Seth lived for 807 years after Enosh's birth, having more children. His total lifespan was 912 years. Enosh had a son named Kenan when he was 90 years old. Enosh lived for 815 years after Kenan's birth, with other sons and daughters. His total lifespan was 905 years. Kenan had a son named Mahalalel when he was 70 years old. Kenan lived for 840 years after Mahalalel's birth, having other children. His total lifespan was 910 years. Mahalalel had a son named Jared when he was 65 years old. Mahalalel lived for 830 years after Jared's birth, with other sons and daughters. His total lifespan was 895 years. Jared had a son named Enoch when he was 162 years old. Jared lived for 800 years after Enoch's birth, having more children. His total lifespan was 962 years. Enoch walked with God for 365 years, and then God took him. His total lifespan was 365 years. Methuselah had a son named Lamech when he was 187 years old. Methuselah lived for 782 years after Lamech's birth, with other sons and daughters. His total lifespan was 969 years. Lamech named his son Noah, saying that he would comfort them in their work. After Noah was born, Lamech lived for 595 years, having other children. His total lifespan was 777 years. Noah became the father of Shem, Ham, and Japheth when he was 500 years old. In summary, according to the Bible, Adam and his descendants lived for remarkably long lifespans. Their stories are foundational to various religious traditions and beliefs. From Adam to Abraham, according to biblical chronogenealogies in Genesis 5 and 11, it took 1,656 years from Adam to the flood, and an additional 292 years from the flood to Abraham, or possibly 352 years, considering the ambiguity surrounding the age of Terah when he became the father of Abraham. Therefore, the total time span from Adam to Abraham is approximately 1,948 to 2008 years. This remarkable period encompasses the lives of several significant biblical figures and the unfolding of God's plan for humanity. From Abraham to the birth of Jesus, the timeline spans approximately 2,304.5 years according to biblical chronology. Let's break down this fascinating journey. Abraham, also known as Abram, lived around 1,767 years before the birth of Christ. He was a pivotal figure in the Abrahamic faiths, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. God called Abraham to leave his homeland in Ur of Chaldea and journey to the Promised Land, modern-day Israel and Palestine. Abraham's faith and obedience shaped the course of human civilization. Biblical chronology. The timeline from Abraham to Jesus is meticulously outlined in the first edition of the King James Bible and Reverend James Ussher's Annals. Let's break it down step by step. 422 years after Noah's flood, Abraham departed from Ur. 430 years later, the Israelites had their exodus from Egypt. 480 years passed until the construction of Solomon's temple. The period from the temple to the Babylonian captivity spanned 419.5 years. After the rebuilding of Jerusalem, following the captivity, there were 70 years. Finally, 483 years led to the birth of Jesus, as prophesied in the book of Daniel. Adding up these periods, we arrive at a total of 2,304.5 years. Generations. Traditionally, the Bible lists 42 generations from Abraham to Jesus. These generations connect the lineage of Abraham, through David, to the birth of Christ. The genealogy in the book of Luke provides a slightly different count, with about 77 generations from Abraham to Jesus. In summary, this extensive timeline not only bridges over 2 millennia but also continues to shape the faith of millions globally. The journey from Abraham to Jesus is rich with significance, prophecies, and divine purpose. Let me tell you that I am good at mathematics, and according to the Genesis considering this year 2024, 6,336 years had passed since Adam was created by God. Here is when the numbers don't seem to be correct. For example, according to modern science we have been on this planet for millions of years, but let's delve into ancient Brazilian history with a focus on a site that dates back approximately 50,000 years. Pedra Furada, a remarkable archaeological site. Location: Pedra Furada is situated in the Serra de Capivara National Park in northeastern Brazil. Age: researchers estimate that the rock shelters and engravings found here date back to around 50,000 years ago. Significance: Pedra Furada contains some of the oldest evidence of human presence in the Americas. The rock art includes intricate engravings, paintings, and stenciled handprints on the cave walls. These ancient artworks provide insights into the cultural practices, beliefs, and daily life of the prehistoric inhabitants. Research challenges: the dating of the site has been a subject of debate, but recent studies support its antiquity. Archaeologists continue to explore and analyze the artifacts, hoping to uncover more about the people who lived there during the Paleolithic era. Pedra Furada stands as a testament to the resilience and creativity of early humans, leaving us with tantalizing glimpses into their distant past. Also, while there's no direct evidence of humans and dinosaurs coexisting, there are intriguing petroglyphs, rock engravings, found near dinosaur tracks in Argentina. These petroglyphs, believed to be created around 3,000 to 9,000 years ago, and offer a fascinating connection between ancient humans and the distant past of the dinosaurs. According to the science community, which has been always wrong, the Homo sapiens, our species, first evolved from early hominid predecessors approximately 200,000 to 300,000 years ago. Our capacity for language developed around 50,000 years ago, and the first modern humans began migrating outside of Africa roughly 70,000 to 100,000 years ago. Here I would like to include a note. We as human species didn't emerge from Africa. In fact, we emerged on every continent. The first example I offered here about Pedra Furada is the evidence. The last person that God supposed talked to was John the Baptist, who was a contemporary of Jesus. Since then, God has not spoken to anyone else, nor had use of the media that we have today to communicate with us. This is really strange. Recently, a famous scientific, Neil deGrasse Tyson, was questioned about the existence of God, and he answered, "Look at some of the significant cataclysmic events from the last 50 years and their approximate death tolls." 2004 Indian Ocean Tsunami. Deaths: approximately 230,000 to 280,000 people lost their lives across multiple countries due to the massive tsunami triggered by an undersea earthquake. 2010 Haiti earthquake. Deaths: the devastating earthquake in Haiti resulted in an estimated 230,000 fatalities. 1986 Chernobyl disaster. Deaths: directly, the Chernobyl nuclear disaster caused 2 immediate deaths. However, long-term effects, including cancer, have led to varying estimates of additional deaths, ranging from thousands to tens of thousands. 2011 Tohoku tsunami, Japan. Deaths: the tsunami following the Great East Japan earthquake led to around 15,000 confirmed deaths, with thousands more missing. 1991 Mount Pinatubo eruption, Philippines. Deaths: the eruption of Mount Pinatubo caused around 847 fatalities. He continues with his answer, according to the Bible, God is love, good and powerful, but when you look back at all these cataclysms, either he is not so good or not so powerful. I know that most of you will say that the Lord acts in mysterious ways, but this is not acceptable anymore. You will say that it is a matter of faith, but you don't understand what faith is. Jesus tried to explain that, but you still don't believe him. He said that we are gods, that is, we have enough faith, which only needs to be the size of a mustard seed. We can move mountains. I can offer more evidence, shall you need it, to prove that the Bible is the biggest fraud of our history. Think about all this information, and of course you can contact me if you need more information. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel.